Welcome back, my fellow aficionados. It's great to be back. As promised, uh, here are all the tools um, that I use or have used to cut my cigars. I know a lot of you have been asking what do I use. So I figured, why not let me get them all together and I'll show you. And this is it. This is all that I have. Um, starting off is with the tabletop. Now, this guy here, pretty straightforward, self-explanatory, right? You have the single blade, so you have your straight cuts for depending on the size of your vitola, and the two V cuts as well. Um, as I said before, I don't use the V cut, but for the straight cut, this is great. This actually works really well. The issue I have with this is when I am cutting a pyramid or torpedo, bellicoso. It it takes off too much for my liking. Um, but again, personal preference. I'm not saying right or wrong, but that's the only issue I have with this guy. But great tabletop if anybody's looking for one. Um, Going on to the next, and I'll just go through each and every one of these. The next one, the scissors. These in particular are the Xikar. Again, I don't use this often, but when I do, I get a great cut. Um, yes, you have to pay a little bit more attention when doing it, and I found when I do it, actually, I should have had a cigar. Um, I tend to push and cut while using the scissors, and I get a nice clean cut. Um, great thing to have in your repertoire. um, the next one, this is new to me. This is the Paleo. Um, Again, fantastic straight cut. No complaint. The only issue, I don't know, maybe somebody else has a paleo. Like I just find, and this is new. This is fairly new, but I find it's like I don't want to say sticky, but it just doesn't move as smooth as I would have liked. But the cut itself is awesome. No complaints with this guy. Which leads me to the complete opposite, and I know there's some of you that love this. This is the Cuban Crafters. I just don't have any luck with this thing. Um, I just find for myself, no matter what I do when I cut, I never get a clean cut. It's always kind of jagged. I don't want to say ripped, but there's a lot of debris. It just doesn't leave a clean cut. Um, and I've tried it and kind of, I won't lie, given up on it. So again, that's me, but that's the Cuban Crafters. The next one I have is the Xikar, the XO. Um, this thing, and I'll be brutally honest, it's a great cut. It's a great cut. You could probably put a tree trunk in here and cut it. Like the ring gauge on this is massive. I'll probably never use that big of a ring gauge. I love the way the blades come in to cut equally. Great cut. Um, when there's a lot of daylight, I just find for some of my friends that come over when we use this, end up taking off a little bit more of their cigars. And again, there's a learning curve to it. Um, but frankly, it's more of a novelty thing. Like if you have to pick a cutter, I wouldn't rush out to get this one. I would definitely get, which I'll get to this now, the XI, or I can't remember what the newer model was, but this thing is fantastic. And this is what I use 90% of the time. Great cutter, always a perfect cut. I've never had an issue with this thing. This I would say highly recommend before getting the get the XI before you get the XO. But yeah, great cutter. Which now leads me to the last two. Now, punch. I do use a punch now and again, depending on the cigar. And this, by far, I ended up getting rid of all the other punch cutters that I had. This is the Avo punch. And what I love about it is that you have two, actually, let me see if I can do this. You actually have two sizes for this. I don't think I'll be able to do it with one hand here. Yeah. So you have that end, and then you also have the bigger, and hopefully you guys can see that on the camera. Maybe let me move it over here. There you go. So you have the smaller and the bigger punch size. This is by far, in my experience using punches, probably the best punch cutter I've used, and absolutely love it. Can't recommend that enough. And I know I talked about this in the last video. Now this is the recent one I bought, and this is the Lujo. Now I know a lot of people are saying, you know, holy shit, like why would you ever spend that for a cutter? And you're right. This thing, though, the cut is fantastic. I'm not saying this is any better than the Paleo or the Xikar, the X1. They cut, it cuts just the same as these guys, and it is very clean, just as these. Now, the material involved, yes. Is it a little more exotic? Yes. But what I do love about this cutter is the conversation that it starts. Because as soon as people see this, it strikes up a conversation right away of, hey, what is that? Like what? And in my field, in the industry that I work in, it's just a bonus. To me, that I put value to that. If that makes any sense, for me that's value, because it engages conversation, which can lead to business. And for me, it's worth every dollar just for that. So, but you know, if you're just looking for a simple cutter, yeah, I mean, don't get this. Like, yes, it is cool. You know, you do have the magnets. There is no mechanical device, springs or anything. It's just the magnets, and that's it. Put it in your hand, and away you go. But you know, yes, the cut is great. It's just the same as any of these, quality wise for the cut. So there you go, guys. That's you see all the stuff, all the tools that I have. I just wanted to share that with you all. And again, congratulations to Shane for winning the draw that we had last week. And stay tuned, folks. I believe now we're at 720. So at 1,000 subs, I will definitely be giving away a 10 count box of the Hoyo de Monterrey Especial. The reason why I'm picking that is just because the cigars are absolutely fantastic. I just killed a box, and they're smoking fantastic right now. So it's definitely one that I want to see somebody have that in their humidor. We are having some other cigars donated as well, but we'll get to that when the time is right and when I have everything in hand, and then that way I can video exactly what the winner will be getting. We'll be getting back into the next video. We'll save the questions. There's a whole bunch of shout outs, new subscribers, a ton of emails and questions. Mazen, I know I've been emailing you, but we'll get onto that in another video and get back to unboxings. All right, guys. So as always, good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching around the world. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers.